Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, here with some more Daidachi Wars. I still think I'm saying it wrong. Yes, Siege of Rhodes. It's been a couple of days trying to remember here. Antigonus, and son Demetrius are yeah, they had a big episode, big last video, unexpectedly, because they were kind of on the downslope, and then now they hit it out of the park pretty much. Last episode they kind of won everything they have an awesome fleet now. Ptolemy kind of went down, and he didn't die or anything, but they kind of like pushed him back a little bit, and yeah, all things are going for him. And so we're on to like what happens next, Uh, I guess they can take it, the success can continue, or these unknown kind of play like these other guys up in Greece, these other guys who are kind of like they want it all for themselves as well. I figured what that guy Caesar's, no, it's not Caesar. Is this over the sea? There's another guy up there the guy who killed Alexander the Great's wife and son, whatever that guy's name is. He wants power for himself, so he's not going to just sign up to be part of Demetrius and his dad's like coalition here. He's going to want power to himself. So I have a feeling, him and the people around there might cause some trouble. Who knows? They can join forces for all I know. But I'm not sure if Ptolemy's down and out yet. So we're gonna find out anyways, guys. We're gonna find out what's gonna happen next. Sit tight. Um, yeah, don't really know what to expect. There's nothing really going on. Last episode kind of ended where things were just settled. They had their victories. Now they're just settled, and there was no sign of what was to come. But we're gonna get right into it right now, guys. They're definitely a great series, very underrated series, very underrated. There's no really big names in it, so I guess it's understandable that it's not very well known. And so I hope you guys, obviously, if you're watching this, you took the chance to watch the series on something that you probably didn't know much about. And I know a lot of you have already knew all about this war, but I also know there's some of you who are kind of new to this war and definitely took the chance to watch it with me. And I hope you guys are I bet you guys are pretty happy you did, because it is pretty awesome, even though there's no big names in it. Like, there's a bunch of different players. It's kind of cool, all these wars, that I do. I feel it's like a chess game, man. You kind of like everyone's just trying to figure out where to put their pieces to have the best outcome, for the best chance to have a great outcome, whatever. So, anyways, yeah, we're gonna jump into this. Always fun, guys, right? You guys excited? Get excited. I'm excited. I'm tired, but I'm excited. Full screen. Siege of Rhodes. I wish I remember where these places are on the map, but I don't know. Maybe if you're from there, you probably know. But anyways, guys, it's only like a year or two later, so yeah, the dust is just now settling from those previous battles. But anyways, guys, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't yet. Come on, what's taking you so long? Please and thank you. And we're gonna jump into it. 3, 2, 1, bam.
The year is 306 BC, and following his victory at Salamis, Antigonid control in the eastern Mediterranean is now supreme. Yet almost immediately, new obstacles would arise for this newfound dominance. No more so than on a small island in the South Aegean, the island of Rhodes.
Island of Rhodes. Naval battle?
News of Demetrius' victory reached Antigonus in Syria. He realized his power in the eastern Mediterranean was now unmatched. So, Antigonus made an audacious proclamation to his Macedonians, assuming the title of king and naming his son Demetrius both as joint king and successor. With the death of Alexander the Great's last direct heir back in 309 BC, Antigonus was making a bold statement to his rivals. The Antigonids, he implied, were now the rightful heirs to his empire. Yet his rivals had no intention of accepting this. Very soon, Ptolemy, Cassander, Lysimachus, and Seleucus all made similar proclamations, accepting their own regal status. However, following the Cyprus debacle, Ptolemy's power was a shadow of its former self. Antigonus knew that this was his opportunity to invade Egypt. Gathering a grand army of almost 90,000 men, Antigonus, who was now nearly 80 years old, advanced towards Egypt. Adjacent to his father...
I don't know, I guess it makes sense to go to Egypt first. I think, you know, while you're extremely strong and Ptolemy's kind of down and out at the moment, maybe go north while you're still strong and take on your other rivals up there. I just think, you know, I don't think Ptolemy's much of a threat, but when you go on Ptolemy's grounds, I think you kind of set yourself up, you know, for a disappointment, because you want to get out of here with as least amount of losses as possible. And I don't know. I think I would have gone north first, but I'm not a general. I didn't go. I wasn't in the war back then. I don't know nothing. This guy obviously has success. You know, he has to be where he's at. So I'm just playing, you know, just because of this video. Like you know, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Don't get on to me. I think you should go north. I just have a bad feeling about this. That's all. Maybe I'm wrong.
Father's army, Demetrius advanced towards Egypt. Adjacent to his father's army, Demetrius commanded the Antigonid fleet along the coast. Having passed his frontier at Gaza, Antigonus attempted a quick march towards the Nile Delta. Yet the march was difficult, with his army having to traverse a waterless desert and under constant threat from hostile Nabatean raiders. Attrition was endured, but soon enough, the army reached the most eastern branch of the Nile Delta, near Pelusium. Their relief would be short-lived. Across the river, Ptolemy's army were entrenched and fully prepared to thwart any attempt to cross. Yet Antigonus had a plan. He ordered Demetrius to lead the fleet and attempt a landing on the nearby coast, thereby creating a bridgehead for his forces. Demetrius duly obeyed and prepared his best troops for the task. First at Pseudostonum and then at Phatniticum, the young Antigonid attempted to breach Ptolemy's defences, but to no avail. Ptolemy's defenders resisted formidably, and Demetrius was forced to return to his father.
It's just a tougher match. Like, he was beat Ptolemy before, but this is kind of more of Ptolemy's like home advantage here, and all his troops, this is basically their home. They're going to fight extra hard. They have the home field advantage. They know the terrain. It's just a lot. I think it's just a lot harder to beat someone's army on their own turf than it is, you know, when it's on a neutral ground. And obviously, by the start of it, not going, you know, the way they probably want it to go.
Demetrius was forced to return to his father. Antigonus now considered what to do next. His attempt to divert Ptolemy's defences had failed, and he knew that any frontal crossing had no guarantee of victory. He only had to look back at the fate of Perdiccas to realise that. Not wanting to take the risk, Antigonus gathered his army and ordered a retreat. The invasion was abandoned. Ptolemy had survived once again.
Yes, I predicted something. I didn't predict something, but yes, you should have went north to begin with. Well, they didn't really lose any troops, right? At least not many at all. So, you know, he's basically just back where he started, right? I mean, no love lost, except for maybe some pride lost, you know? Maybe he's second-guessing himself a little more. That could be good, or it could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. I guess we'll find out.
At the beginning of 305 BC, Antigonus returned to Antigonea. But that did not mean the end of Antigonid expansion. Under the command of Demetrius, a new campaign was soon launched, this time against a very different foe, the island of Rhodes. Previously, the Rhodians had refused to aid the Antigonid cause, claiming neutrality. Yet their friendly relations to Ptolemy were well known. And so, worried that the Rhodians could act against him in the future, and seeing their fleet as the last stumbling block before uncontested Antigonid naval supremacy in the eastern Mediterranean, Antigonus ordered Demetrius to take the island.
Again, I think this is a mistake. You already have so many enemies you gotta take on that this is neutral. I mean, you don't have to. This is not something you have to do. I just think it's just another obstacle, one more obstacle that you're giving yourself that you don't have to do. I know this has no comparison at all. It just reminds me, this is a stupid comparison, I'm sorry, but it just reminds me of the Napoleon series when Napoleon, wanted to take over Spain and got stuck in a war in Spain which he had no need to be there. If he avoids Spain, who knows how far he could have went, because even though Spain wasn't a great ally, at least they weren't fighting against, Napoleon. And I know that this play at Rhodes is a lot smaller, and Rhodes is not his ally, but still, he's not a problem, and Ptolemy's still not that powerful. I just think you just go for the big boys up there. Why have big armor and you're powerful? I don't know. I just got another bad feeling about this. That's all. Here we go.
Mediterranean, Antigonus ordered Demetrius to take the island. At Lorimer, a large Antigonid force was gathered for the expedition. Its navy would consist of 200 warships, many of which were equipped with artillery. It also had 170 transport and supply ships to carry a 40,000-strong land force. Demetrius also enlisted the aid of a small group of pirates, men who were skilled raiders and able sailors, and he also brought with him a large amount of siege equipment and provisions. He was experienced and well prepared for a siege. With this huge armada, Demetrius set sail for Rhodes, landing his army near its namesake capital. He placed...
I guess another thing is because, sieges, they can take a long time, and he has the momentum, or I guess he had momentum until Ptolemy kind of stopped in there a little bit at the end, but I just think it gives his other enemies, like the ones in the north in Greece, that hasn't been I think kind of gets them more of a chance to kind of get their act together and get organized, because you know how long this will take, and the people usually sieging a castle are probably going to lose more men. I don't know, but I think sieges are cool when they cover sieges in these videos. But here we go, back to the movie. A movie. Feels like a movie.
Placed his camp on a plain to the southwest of the city, while his navy set up a blockade of the Rhodian harbour. Fortifying his position, Demetrius dispatched his pirates to raid and pillage the island, much to the dismay of the trapped Rhodians. After realizing that any attempts to negotiate were fruitless, the 7,000-strong Rhodian garrison readied the defences. The siege had begun.
Wow, look at all that.
The first engagement soon occurred. Hoping to surprise the blockaders, 3 Rhodian vessels sailed out from the harbour, catching Demetrius' navy off guard and sinking many supply ships before returning to Rhodes. First blood to the Rhodians.
Ow.
Undeterred, Demetrius began preparations for an attack on the Rhodian harbour. He placed 2 large penthouses on top of 2 strapped-together cargo ships, with ballistae and catapults stationed inside the raised platforms, designed to batter the Rhodian defences. At the same time, Demetrius constructed 2 4-story-high siege towers, once again superbly mounted on cargo ships.
Wow.
He also filled many of his smaller ships with specialized Cretan archers and artillery.
That's crazy.
The Rhodians, in response, placed artillery around the harbour. They placed them on their ships, on the wall, and on the mole that protruded from the harbour. With his...
Would it just be cool, just for like a couple of minutes, just to like take a time jump, just to be on like the wall of this like castle, fort, whatever, and just to look at the scale of everything and look around and just to see how everything looked? I bet you that'd be a sight to see, man. Just look at all this we see right now, and just be cool just to be able to look around and see all this stuff. That'd be awesome.
Protruded from the harbour. With his preparations complete, Demetrius commenced the assault. At night, he landed a small force of men at the farthest end of the mole, capturing it and creating a bridgehead for his forces, some 500 feet from the city wall. He placed 400 men to defend this bridgehead.
Good job.
Early the next day, Demetrius had his amphibious siege engines towed into the harbour. Heavy catapult, ballista and archer fire were exchanged on either side, and great damage was inflicted on the Rhodian defences. Yet eventually, Demetrius sounded the retreat. Seeing the engines withdrawing, the Rhodians attempted to destroy them with fire ships. But the pursuit failed, and the ships were engulfed harmlessly.
Wow.
A second attack on the Rhodian harbour soon followed. Once again, Demetrius' siege engines were towed inside, and his artillery battered the Rhodian fortifications, with a portion of Demetrius' troops managing to gain control of a section of the Rhodian defences. At the same time, Demetrius' army on land scaled ladders at various locations along the city walls. Heavy fighting ensued on multiple fronts. Casualties were high on either side, but eventually the Rhodians emerged victorious, and Demetrius' army withdrew. Despite these failed assaults, Demetrius remained determined to capture the harbour. As soon as his ships were repaired, he ordered a third...
I guess, since they had him and his dad, Ptolemy kind of pushed him back. Like it hurt his pride, and I'm sure that's got to be in the back of their heads right now. Like they don't want to have to retreat twice. Like I think right now they feel like they're engaged, they're committed to this siege right now. Like I don't see them stopping until they take it, and it's gonna be like at what cost? If they take it, or at what cost do they take it? So I think that's definitely in the back of their mind that they can't retreat, because they're probably, how would that look to, I guess, to the rest of the Greeks, in the north, wow, and they the 2 losses in a row, it would definitely, be a great morale booster for those Greeks up north. So I don't think they're backing out at all. It's all or nothing. I feel like right now.
Third was the harbour. As soon as his ships were repaired, he ordered a third assault, and this time Demetrius had a plan he believed could not fail.
Yeah?
He ordered his lighter ships, manned with archers, to rain fire arrows on the opposing Rhodian vessels to set them alight. In the meantime, 3 of his formidable amphibious siege engines bombarded the harbour defences, the ballistae targeting the wall itself, and the catapults aiming at the defenders on the ramparts.
Damn!
It was a terrifying assault, and soon the Rhodian defences began to waver. The Rhodians were desperate. Yet despite heavy arrow fire, their sailors managed to extinguish the fires on their ships, and seeing the perilous situation, they proposed a desperate strategy. 3 of their most agile ships were manned by the best Rhodian sailors, and were sent through heavy fire right towards Demetrius' siege engines and rammed them. This suicide attack managed to destroy 2 of these formidable engines. Yet soon, the Rhodian ships were surrounded and destroyed, while the 3rd engine escaped. Yet in this daring act, the Rhodians had saved the harbour from almost certain capture. Demetrius once again was forced to retreat.
Really?
Not long after, a great storm occurred off the Rhodian coastline. Any attempts to launch a new attack were temporarily thwarted. The Rhodians sensed an opportunity. The far end of the mole was still in Demetrius's hands, but now it was unable to be aided by the fleet. Launching a wave of attacks, the Rhodians soon overwhelmed the small outpost. More bad news was to follow for Demetrius. As the storm subsided, reinforcements amounting to 650 troops sent from Ptolemy managed to sneak into the harbour, reinforcing the jubilant Rhodians.
Yeah.
Demetrius's attempts to take the harbour had backfired completely, and in the beginning of 304 BC, he changed his tactics, turning his attention to a land assault. To that end, he constructed another great...
I mean, I guess they already tried this, doing a land assault from both sides at the same time, but man, he's already taking a lot of losses. Like, this is what I was afraid of, if he started this, because you kind of want to get out of this, with at least as many losses as possible, and it's not looking very good so far, but let's keep going.
Siege tower, a Helepolis. This siege tower was even bigger than his previous one at Salamis, and he had learned from his past mistakes, placing iron plates over the wooden frame to prevent it from catching fire. Indeed, so large and heavily fortified was this tower that 3,400 men were needed to move it. It was then that Demetrius earned the nickname Poliorketes, meaning the besieger of cities.
3,000 men?
Alarmed, the Rhodians began constructing a secondary wall. With the harbour also now free from constant assault, Rhodian ships made frequent sallies, hoping to disrupt the enemy's supplies. In the meantime, Demetrius had ordered sappers to undermine the Rhodian walls. Yet the Rhodians, learning of this threat, constructed tunnels of their own, and a desperate fight ensued underground. Yet eventually, with aid from the Helepolis, manned with numerous ballistae and catapults.
I'm sorry, but I think that'd be the most terrifying place to fight, underground in those tunnels. I'm sorry, I'd rather be on top of a dang castle or on a plane charging with my spear than I would be underneath the dang ground, worried about, it caving in on me and worried about spears in front of me. I am not going underground. I think that was kind of left to the smaller soldiers. Right? I think so, because I know, like I think it was which war is it? Like Vietnam or something. The tunnelers are always they were way smaller. I don't know. But anyways, I think I'd rather do any other position besides besides the ones that go underground. No, thank you.
And his other artillery. A breach was created in the Rhodian wall, and the Rhodian forces retreated. Yet to Demetrius's dismay, his forces broke through only to see a hastily completed second wall now standing in their way. Demetrius was now running out of patience. A daring assault was needed. Picking his best men for the task and placing them under the command of his most...
That is very smart, because I'm sure that big siege engine they just used to kind of break the wall, go over the wall, I guess all this rubble is probably way too big to bring it with them. So they're basically back at square one, even though this wall, I'm sure, is not even close to as strong as the outer wall. It's like still you're stopped again, and you still have to go up and over while you're being attacked by arrows and stuff like that. So yeah, man, it's just like the sieges, man. They take forever, dudes. Man, like, you don't know. That would suck to siege a castle for sure.
Experienced general, Alcimus. Demetrius ordered a quick night assault on the city.
Oh yeah?
That night, Alcimus led his force into the city
It worked!
and achieved success at first.
At first.
His force quickly broke through the second wall's defences and reached as far as the theatre. But there, a vicious fight ensued between the attackers and the Rhodian defenders. Many fell on either side, but eventually the Rhodians, fighting zealously for their homeland, overcame Demetrius's forces. Of the 1,500 men that had reached the theatre, all were either captured or killed.
Wow.
Among them, Alcimus. The assault had failed, and Demetrius returned to the siege. However, news now reached him that his father had ordered him to break off the siege. The year-long siege was lifted.
1 year?
Demetrius reached an agreement with the Rhodians and sailed away. For the Rhodians,
that you reached an agreement with the Rhodians. For what? You didn't even... There was already an agreement to begin with. They were neutral. Like, you didn't even have to go there. So, well, that's a huge loss, Demetrius. You lost thousands of men. You lost ships. And you came out with absolutely nothing. You gained absolutely nothing except for probably having them as your enemy now. Instead of having them neutral now, they're definitely most likely to be against you now. So, it's a big mistake. I don't really, I guess I understand the decision, but I don't agree with it. But like I said, I'm an armchair, you know. It's easy for me to say in hindsight. I know that, you know, but I just don't see. Even before the attack, I still don't see the benefits of it. You know, I think what you have to gain versus what you have to lose in this situation. I thought you had a lot more to lose than you had to gain. That's just my opinion. You guys can let me know in the comments, you know, what your thoughts of this are. But you know, just my opinion. It's just my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. Yeah. Anyway, let's just get on. Let's just get on with it, guys.
With the Rhodians and sailed away. For the Rhodians, it was their finest hour.
Yeah,
they had
job.
Successfully defended against the superpower of the time. In honor of their achievement, they ordered the construction of a monument that would go down in history as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Colossus of Rhodes. As for Demetrius, he was needed.
But that doesn't stand anymore, right? I think I've seen, like, not pictures of it. I think virtual, whatever, you know, reincarnation of it, you know, but it doesn't exist anymore, does it? Or does it? Like, or am I thinking of something else? I don't know.
In Greece. As for Demetrius, he was needed in Greece. Cassander had once again become a threat. Yet little did he know that the great climax to the Wars of the Successors was fast approaching. We will cover this great climax in the next episode of this series, so subscribe and press the alarm bell to keep notified.
There we go. So yeah, obviously the end game is going to be up here at Cassander's. You know, all this, everything's going to happen up here, and we're going to see who comes out on top. Ptolemy's going to stay in charge down here. He's not going to gain any more land. He's just going to be in charge of, you know, Egypt and all. And it took a year. I can't believe how long that took. I mean, that could have been a year that Demetrius could have been causing chaos with Cassander's and all that stuff. So I don't. I already said I don't understand the decision, but looks like they could easily still come out on top. I just think that it could have been like this attack on Cassander's could have been done a year earlier, and they could have been doing it with more men because they lost a lot of men and lost ships and stuff like that and siege equipment, and so now they're doing that. So it's kind of because I was definitely going for Rhodes. I go for the underdog, you know, against the giant power because I Antigonus and Demetrius, I don't really have anything invested in them. You know, there's nothing that strikes me as something I want to root for. Maybe I'm missing something here. Just the battle, just because the kind of loss they had there with the silver shields. You know, that they got lucky with that, and nothing really great has stood out to me when it can. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they're amazing leaders. Just for me, there's nothing in these videos that just stood out to me that made me go, yes, go for cheer for them. And but saying that, Cassander's, but I don't like him either, and he killed Alexander the Great's son. That so if I had to choose between Cassander's and like Demetrius and his dad, I'd go for Demetrius and his dad just because I don't like the Cassander's dude because he killed Alexander the Great's family, man. I can't go for someone who does that. So I definitely hope he loses up there. But maybe there's a wild card up there that I just don't know about. I hope like pops up, you know, so Ptolemy, like I said, don't have to worry about him. He's down south, so I guess we're just gonna wait and see, you know, how this plays out. We got one more episode left, guys. There's definitely a great episode. Good job for the Rhodes guys from the Rhodians for you know, holding on to their you know, their land, their castle, their city, or whatever you want to call it. You know, they did what they had to do. They were fighting for their homeland. I'm sure all their families were inside there, so they were fighting for their lives, and you know. I'm sure, you know, they knew exactly what they had to do to hold them off. You know, I'm sure if you're one of those islands and you're forts, you're kind of you already know how to fight off. You know, Demetrius, he's a pretty good guy at sieges apparently because he apparently has his own name now because of it, even though he just failed at that last one. But definitely very exciting episode. I think sieges are kind of just very interesting in general. I mean, I guess I can see how a lot of people they wouldn't be that interesting because I think a lot of them, you know, could be the same. I just think it depends on the layout, you know, of the you know, I guess around the sieges. Like there was a lot of water. You had to have the naval power, plus you had to have the land at the same time. A lot of them is just you know the castle and there's no water involved. So this includes the water, so it just makes it more interesting, at least for me anyway. So I just thought that was cool. And yeah, it's just fun, interesting stuff. So hope you guys having a lot of fun watching these videos. I have a lot of fun making them. I hope you guys hit that like and subscribe. If I go a day or two without making a video, it's just because you know life's just busy. I just don't have the time to do this, and so you know. If I'm gonna go longer than a day or two, you know I'm gonna let you know. So you know, please hit that like and subscribe. Let me know down below if you're enjoying this series, you know, and if you're new to this series, I always like to hear from you guys. So definitely a comment below. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in future videos. Ron, we got one more left, guys. One more. The climax, as they say. So we're on to Battle of Ipsus. Where's Ipsus on here? Where's Ipsus on the? I have no idea where that is. Yeah, so Battle of Ipsus tomorrow, and yeah, catch you guys in future videos. You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. Love you, and I'm out of here. Peace. You guys have an amazing night, amazing day. Out.